The transport vessel shuddered as another impact rocked its hull. Josie pressed her palm against the cold metal wall, steadying herself as the emergency lights cast everything in crimson shadows. Around her, the Carvathy cubs huddled together, their fur bristling with fear, their large eyes reflecting the strobing alarms. "Human Josie," chittered Murray, the eldest of the 5 cubs, at barely 8 solar cycles old. His species towered over most sentient races by the time they reached adolescence. But these younglings were still finding their legs. Even now, the smallest of them stood a full head taller than her. "What is happening? Where are the adults?" Josie's jaw tightened. The adults were gone, all of them. The pirate attack had been swift and brutal. The Carvathy delegation had been evacuated to the escape pods, but someone had to stay behind to manually seal the bulkhead. That someone had been every adult on the mission. Someone had to protect the children. That someone was now her. "Listen to me," Josie said, her voice steady despite the chaos. She was a cultural liaison, not a soldier. Her frame was small even by human standards, barely 5'3", with arms better suited for typing reports than fighting. But she'd grown up on the Mars colonies, where you learned early that survival wasn't about size. "We're going to the secondary hangar. There's a shuttle there." "But the pirates," another cub, Shella whimpered. "Stay behind me," Josie whispered, pulling the plasma cutter from the emergency kit. It wasn't a weapon, not really, but it would have to do. The cubs exchanged glances. Their universal translators caught the nuance, the protective determination in her voice, but their eyes revealed their doubt. "But you're so small," Rek whispered, voicing what all of them were thinking. Josie allowed herself a small, dangerous smile. "Yeah, we get that a lot." She moved to the door panel, overriding the lock with her command codes. Beyond lay the corridor to the secondary hangar, 300 meters of uncertain terrain. She could hear them out there, the pirates, their heavy boots clanging against the deck plates, their guttural voices calling out in languages the translator struggled to pass. "Hold on to each other," Josie instructed. "Don't let go. When I say run, you run. When I say stop, you freeze. Understand?" 5 sets of ears flattened against 5 furry heads. 5 heads nodded. A door hissed open. Josie moved like water, like shadow, keeping low and close to the wall. The cubs followed their natural grace, making them surprisingly quiet despite their size. They made it 50 meters before the first pirate rounded the corner. He was Drukvian, all scales and muscle and cruel intelligence. His weapon came up, but Josie was faster. The plasma cutter wasn't designed for combat, but at close range and aimed at the right spots, it didn't need to be. The pirate's weapon clattered to the floor, and he followed it, screaming, "Run!" Josie hissed. They ran. More pirates emerged from side passages. Josie didn't try to fight them, she couldn't. Instead, she did what humans had done for millennia when outmatched. She used the environment. A plasma shot to a coolant pipe sent freezing gas billowing into the corridor, obscuring their escape. A triggered emergency bulkhead forced their pursuers to take a longer route. Atlas appeared like a ghost from a maintenance shaft, his face smeared with grease, his engineer's toolkit clutched in one hand and a commandeered pirate rifle in the other. "Josie." His relief was palpable. "I got separated during the attack. I've been trying to reach the bridge, but it's gone." Josie cut him off. "Everyone's gone. Just us and the cubs." Atlas's face hardened. He was tall for a human, broad-shouldered from years of wrestling with ship components, but right now he looked at Josie with something like awe. "What's the plan?" "Secondary hangar, small shuttle. Get these kids out of here. I'll take point." "No." Josie's voice was firm. "You guard the rear. They're scared, Atlas. They need to see someone protecting them from behind too." He understood immediately, nodded, took position at the back of their small column. They moved again, faster now. The hangar was close, so close, but the pirates had figured out their destination. 6 of them waited in the bay, weapons trained on the only shuttle left operational. Josie's mind raced. 6 armed pirates, 2 unarmed humans, 5 terrified cubs who'd never known violence before this day. Impossible odds. Her ancestors had faced impossible odds before. At the Alamo, on the beaches of Normandy, in the colonies of Mars when the life support failed and everyone said they'd die. Humanity specialized in impossible. "Atlas," she whispered, "when I move, you get them to the shuttle. You fly it out of here." "Josie, what are you? Don't argue. Just promise me." His throat worked. "I promise." Josie stepped into the hangar, plasma cutter in one hand, an emergency flare in the other. She was small. She was outgunned. She was probably going to die. She smiled anyway. She shouted at the pirates, "Over here." What happened next would become legend among the cubs. The tiny human who moved like lightning, who used the hangar's crane system like a weapon, who turned their own tactics against them with brutal efficiency, who bought 60 precious seconds with nothing but courage and fury, 60 seconds for Atlas to get the cubs aboard, 60 seconds for the engines to ignite, 60 seconds that cost Josie 3 broken ribs, a dislocated shoulder, and more bruises than she could count. But 60 seconds was enough. Strong hands. Atlas's hands grabbed her and pulled her toward the shuttle even as she fought to keep the pirates back. The ramp closed. The shuttle lifted. Weapons fire pinged off the hull as they punched through the hangar's atmospheric shield and into the black dot in the cabin. 5 cubs surrounded Josie, their paws gentle on her injuries. Their eyes no longer filled with fear but with wonder. "You're so small," Mech whispered again. But this time it wasn't a question or a doubt, that it was reverence. Josie winced as she smiled. "Yeah," she said softly, meeting Atlas's proud gaze across the cabin. "But humans, we've never let that stop us." Behind them, the transport vessel exploded in a bloom of fire and debris. Ahead, a patrol ship bearing the United Terran Coalition's colors appeared, summoned by their distress beacon. The cubs would remember this day forever, the day they learned that courage wasn't measured in size or strength, but in the willingness to stand between danger and those who needed protection, the day they learned what human really meant.